No, I am not here to predict that West Virginia is going to the ACC. I'll let my buddy Golden Blue Dude do that. And no, I am not advocating for West Virginia to go to the ACC, at least not right now, with the current TV deal that's structured. But what I am here to do is tell you that West Virginia would indeed be a good fit for the ACC, despite what all the media talking heads and naysayers out there might say. West Virginia checks every single box, and I have data to prove it. Let's talk about it. What is up, college sports fans, fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? This is Coos. Welcome in to another edition of Coos' Corner, where I serve up nothing but top-shelf college football content. Let the worries of the world and all your stresses drift away for just a few minutes. Now, what we're talking about today is West Virginia to the ACC. And like I said, I'm not predicting for it to happen, but what I am doing is telling you that West Virginia would be a fit were they ever decide to go to the ACC, and if the ACC were ever to extend them an invitation. Well, first, before I get started, let me tell you, I got this information from Tony Altimore. Tony Altimore is an analyst and consultant who does a lot of work around conference expansion. He's been on the 365 Sports podcast. He's been on John Kurtz's channel talking about similar things. But he's put together a lot of interesting data revolving conference expansion, about the history of conference expansion, even about more recent conference expansion and why conferences look at specific schools and what criteria they may use, and basically why they do what they do. I got this information from him. I'm going to put a link to Tony's Twitter account in my description box where you can find all this information. And I'll hit the highlights in this video and tell you what I saw when looking at West Virginia and comparing it to the ACC today. During the last time the ACC expanded, West Virginia did not make the cut, apparently, according to reports. One of the reasons that was given was that West Virginia did not meet the academic standards for the ACC conference. And that may have been true at the time. However, I think in today's world that may have changed. And I have some reasons for that. Number one, it appears, based on Tony's data, that the ACC doesn't put the same focus on academics that they did prior to the last expansion. For example, prior to the last expansion, when you look at the academic rankings of the ACC teams, they averaged a ranking of about 62. If you look at those at the conference today, that average team ranking is about 100. West Virginia ranks 169. Now, I know that's below 100. However, there are a couple of schools in the ACC that would actually rank below West Virginia, one being Miami, who's at 199, and one being Louisville, who's at 220. Now, the rankings I'm using are the Washington Monthly rankings. They're one of many that are used for academic rankings. But for the ease of this video and for simplicity, I have wanted to pick one out, and I thought this one made sense because it also includes some social data in there as well, other than just strictly academics. But West Virginia's at 169, Miami's at 199, Louisville's at 220, and the average in ACC is 100. Okay? Another example of why the ACC might not be looking as closely at academics. Graduation rates. If you look at the average graduation rate over an 8-year time frame of the ACC schools, it's 85%. 85% graduation rate. Before the expansion, the average graduation rate in the ACC was 93% over an 8-year period. West Virginia's graduation rate over an 8-year period, 87%. So it's actually 2% higher than the current ACC average over an 8-year period. Now, that's not looking at football team or any other sports. It's looking at the entire student body. Okay? Now, another academic piece that I think is important is the Carnegie R1 research status. Every single school in the ACC has Carnegie R1 research status. Prior to the last expansion, West Virginia did not have that status. However, as of 2016, they now do. So West Virginia would fit the mold, the criteria, if the ACC requires their institutions to be Carnegie R1 research institutions. So there's another box that West Virginia can check. All right, now, the other criteria that a lot of people said West Virginia didn't meet, well, they don't have a big enough television market. That can also be proven wrong using Tony's data. When you look at size of a fan base, which I'll actually look at the literal size of the fan base in a moment, but first, I want to look at TV viewership, which is a big piece of that. When you look at TV viewership, West Virginia averages about 1.3 million viewers for every week. Okay, the average for the ACC is 1.5 million. So West Virginia is only 200,000 viewers below the ACC average, and there's a caveat to that though. Tony's data includes Notre Dame, and folks, Notre Dame is one of the highest in the nation when it comes to TV viewership because they have one of the largest fan bases. So even including Notre Dame, West Virginia would be right up there with them. And there's only 4 schools in the ACC conference today that get more TV viewers every week than West Virginia. They are Notre Dame, Florida State, Miami, and Clemson. That's it, folks. West Virginia would be in the top 5 in the ACC in TV viewership today, if they were in the conference today. Now, if you want to look at the literal size of the fan base, we can do that too. Fans and media talking heads want to always talk about, well, it's a state with only 1.8 million people. But you've got to look outside that, folks. West Virginia fans are scattered out all across this country. And when you look at the average size of the fan base, West Virginia actually ranks 30th in the nation. We have the 30th largest fan base in the nation. Okay? Now, you look at the ACC as a conference. ACC schools average a fan base ranking of 33. The only 5 fan bases that are larger than West Virginia's in the ACC are Notre Dame, obviously, Miami, Florida State, Clemson, and then Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's fan base is slightly larger than West Virginia's according to this ranking. But there again, West Virginia would be in the top 6 in the ACC in average size of the fan base. And that's including Notre Dame, folks, who is the 3rd largest fan base in the country. Okay? So West Virginia, once again, checks the box of having a large enough market size. If you want to focus on local cable markets, that's one thing. But when you look at overall size of a market and of a fan base who will turn on ESPN Plus or who will turn on, Apple TV or whatever streaming service they might use, and who might subscribe to ESPN Plus or ESPN2 to get these games, you've got to look at the big picture. West Virginia checks that box. Now, let's look at the overall athletic performance. And for the sake of this video, I'm focusing on football. Now, Tony's data does include other sports as well. I'm focusing on football here. When you look at WVU, when you look at their football program, and you look at the 5-year rankings of the football program, they are 34th in the nation. And folks, let's face it, 3 of the last 5 years have not been very good for West Virginia football, and yet we're still 34th in the nation in rankings. The average ACC school ranks 38th in the nation. So West Virginia is still better than the average in ACC. And these rankings, by the way, are done by College Football News. And once again, those rankings in the ACC include Notre Dame, folks. They include Notre Dame. They include Clemson, who have won national championships recently. They include the U. They include Florida State. They include these blue blood programs. West Virginia still ranks higher than the average ACC school. Okay? When you look at the total number of weeks the school has been ranked in the AP poll, West Virginia has been ranked 306 weeks in the AP poll. The average in the ACC is 376. Now, I know that doesn't sound good, but there again, remember, this includes Notre Dame, who's been ranked over 800 weeks in the AP poll, folks. 800 weeks. And there's only 5 schools in the ACC, including Notre Dame, that rank higher than West Virginia in this category. So there again, West Virginia would be in the top 6 in the conference in total number of weeks ranked in the AP poll. And then last but not least, let's take a look at the athletic budget for the school. West Virginia's athletic budget is at $98.2 million a year. Now, the ACC's is a little harder to gauge because there's so many private schools in the ACC that don't report this information. But when you look at the schools that do report, West Virginia is not necessarily one of the highest, but it ranks up there. There are several schools in the ACC who spend less than $98 million in their athletic budget. So West Virginia is spending dang near $100 million in their athletic budget. Ranks right up there with the schools in the ACC, folks, that are reported. So I'm telling you, West Virginia checks every single one of those boxes. They check the academic box because I don't think it's as important anymore, and they are now a Carnegie R1 institution. They fit the fan base / revenue piece because they have a large fan base, and those fans watch watch the games, and they fit the overall performance of the athletic program piece. In the ACC, they are just as good as half of the ACC teams today already, and that includes Clemson and Notre Dame, folks. And there's one more piece that's very important here. Golden Blue Dude talked about this in one of his videos, and that is Maryland, the absence of Maryland in the ACC. When West Virginia, multiple times West Virginia has tried to get in conferences, if you look back through history, multiple times West Virginia has tried to get in conferences that Maryland has been in, and Maryland has kept them out. For whatever reason, Maryland has always blackballed West Virginia from being in the same conference. I don't know why that is, but that's the case. There are media stories that back this up. Golden Blue did reference some of those in a video he did at one time. If I can find that, I will put it in my description box. I'll link to it. But Maryland's no longer in the ACC. They're in the Big Ten now. So they can't hold anything over West Virginia's head that may have happened in the past, or their rivalry, or whatever the case may be. There's nothing Maryland can do now to keep West Virginia out of the ACC because they no longer have a vote. And that's important because I don't know what the ACC bylaws are, but if they require a unanimous vote, Maryland's not there to vote against them. And they're also not there to convince other schools to vote against them. So like I said, folks, if you are one of those people who think that West Virginia does not fit in the ACC, I think I just proved you wrong. At least I hope I did. At least I try to. Now, you may still disagree with me, and if you do, that's fine. Go check. And also, I recommend that you please check out all of Tony's other work that he does regarding conference expansion. A lot of this information will be linked, that will be available through his Twitter account, which I've mentioned I'll link to. But, folks, ask that you please support my channel financially if you can. I've got a merch store now. See the shirt hanging behind me here? You can pick one of those up in the merch store, along with ball caps, hoodies, mouse pads, phone cases, coffee mugs, travel mugs, water bottles, all kinds of different things I offer with my logo on it. If you want to pick one of those up, I have went in and reduced all prices in my merch store. So go check out my merch store. And if you get it today, today's May 31st, 2022, if you purchased from the merch store today, you'll save 15% on your purchase. It's a Memorial Day sale that's going on, so make sure you do it today. If you've been wanting to buy something, make sure you do it today so you can take advantage of that sale. Also, if you want to join Kuz's Corner, become a channel member, hit the join button right below this video. There's many perks I have to offer as part of that deal. You can check out the links in my description box for Fanatics and Amazon to do your sports apparel shopping or your memorabilia shopping. In the case of Amazon, you do not have to buy the product shown when you hit the link. All it does is get you into the website. But by using that link, it lets them know that you got the link from me, and I'll get a small commission from the sale. And it does not change your shopping experience at all and does not cost you any more money. And also, if you're an online gambler or an online bettor, there's a link to BetUS in my description box as well. You can use that, get 125% bonus on your first bet by using promo code JOIN125 and that link. If you can't do any of that and you want to support me for absolutely 100% free, all you have to do is 4 things. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. All 4 of those things help out my channel. They're all free. They all help that YouTube algorithm, show them that my videos are being watched, that people are interested, and it gets my videos promoted even more through YouTube. Helps my channel grow. I really appreciate all the support. I really appreciate you watching this specific video. And until next time, Q Country Roads.